Got my pants, Gary Chrissy. Got my mama and dad too. Got my brothers, Dylan and Ethan. My grandma, my cousins too. It's the family channel all day. We're gonna have some fun today. It's the family channel.
Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. So today's video, I'm going to do a review, recap, whatever you want to call it, of season 4 of 13 Reasons Why. Okay, let me say, I cried during the first season, obviously. And I wasn't even sure I was really gonna like the show. My niece is the one that said, just watch it. You know, and if you don't like it, that's fine, whatever. So I watched it, and I ended up getting hooked on it. Well, as you know, season 4, I'm going to go ahead and say right here, this will contain spoilers, so if you don't want to know what happened, you might not want to watch this video. But yeah, like I said, you know, season 4, you know, when it starts off, you know, you feel, well, I felt really bad for Clay. You know, he's going through all this stuff, you know, he's Clay, you know, but you can't help but feel bad for the guy, you know, and, you know, he's doing all this stuff and he doesn't remember, and that's got to be scary. You know, that in itself's got to be kind of like, you know, what's going on, you know? But, you know, and then, you know, poor Alex, you know, doesn't even, like, he's finally coming to terms with the fact that he likes boys, you know? And, you know, he doesn't know how to, you know, how to deal with it at first, you know? And Alex has always been that one that doesn't really think he deserves to be loved, and he doesn't want to let anyone love him, you know? And, you know, you see that a lot with him. And, you know, I'm kind of glad that he didn't, you know, stay with Winston. I mean, I'm not saying anything bad. You know, there might be some of you guys that actually like Winston. But me personally, I didn't like him. You know, I didn't trust him from the get-go because I knew about him and Monty. You know, and we all know what Monty was, you know, and what he was capable of. And what he done to Tyler, you know. So I was like, well, he's coming to get revenge. You know, he's going to try to hurt everybody that he thinks hurt Monty. So when Alex started messing around with him, I was like, oh, God, this isn't going to end well. So when it came out that, you know, he was, you know, he knew about stuff and, you know, all this other stuff, and Alex ended things with him, I was like, thank God. You know, because personally, I love Alex. I've always loved Alex. So, you know, I didn't want him getting hurt. Well, you know, and then there's little Charlie, you know, and he's just so sweet. You know, he was always looking out for everybody, you know, and when things, you know, started happening with him and Alex, I was like, oh, come on now. You know, and for a minute, I didn't think anything would happen between him and Alex, you know. But then it finally did, you know, and then Alex came out to his parents, and they were like, okay. You know, and it kind of, you know, I think that was a good part to have in the show because, you know, it proves that not all parents are so close-minded. You know, some parents are going to love their kids no matter what, and they're going to support their kids no matter what. You know, and then you got poor Jessica, you know, who is kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because you know she loves Justin. She's always loved Justin. She'll always love Justin. But she thought that she was, helping out. And I think part of her kind of really did like Diego, honestly. But he wasn't Justin. Um, and Tyler, you didn't know what he was doing. He was being very secretive, and, I can understand why Tony and them kind of thought something was up with him because, he was being secretive, he was leaving and all this other stuff, and they didn't want him to get hurt, And then you got Tony, who I adore. I adore Tony. You got Tony who's trying to, take care of everything, trying to take care of everybody, and he's not really focusing on himself, which is typical Tony. And then you got Justin, who, Justin went from being this jock / prick that I didn't care for. I'm not going to lie, I didn't like him for what he did to Hannah. And I was like, oh God, he's just another jock. But over the seasons, I started to really love Justin, like the way, he took care of Clay, when Clay needed him, and he had really turned his life around, and he was excited about going to college, and, it was nice. So, let me just say that I think I cried more with this season than I have any other season. Not saying the other seasons didn't have their sad moments, because they did. But this one really got me up in my feels. Like, I was not expecting this to happen. I can't even think about it because, like, I want to cry. I remember seeing, them showing Justin, getting sick, and not going to school, and, I thought, oh God, he's still using, and then he didn't want to go to the prom. And then he shows up to the prom, and, and he starts dancing with Jessica for a little bit, and then all of a sudden he just collapses. And my heart dropped. And I was like, oh my God, what's wrong with Justin? And I thought he, had just, got the flu or something. I wasn't expecting anything too horrible. And then when they say he had HIV and, and oh God, it killed me. And then, as the show, the episode, progressed or whatever, and when they were like, we have him on this breathing tube, so he can help breathe. And, when Clay asked him how long he'd have to be on it, and Clay's dad was like, they don't expect him to come off of it. And then Clay was like, what about when he comes home? And when Clay turned and ran away, my heart was, oh my God, my heart ached for him. And then when he ended up at the sheriff's, station or whatever, and he was holding the gun, I was like, oh my God, Clay, what are you doing? Part of me was like, okay, he's trying to get somebody to shoot him or something. I didn't know what he was doing. And when he broke down on the sheriff, I was crying by that time too. And then you got poor Zach, who during the whole season was just drinking and, and it's like, part of me is like, okay, everybody knows that Bryce and Monty weren't the best people, but they were still Zach's friend. They were still Justin's friends, And, part of them had to be upset somewhere deep down, And now, Zach's realizing that Justin, whenever Clay ran outside and, he told Zach that Justin was dying, that had to really, like, throw Justin, that had to, like, really throw, Zach through a loop, like, oh my God, he's dying. And then the way that all the students and, coaches and stuff all showed up at the hospital and they were just waiting in the waiting room, and then it goes to Clay and his mom and them, and whenever Clay and Justin were talking the last time, and they were like, I love you, and you saved me, and oh my God, I was crying so hard, because, anybody that has watched this show from the beginning, you know that Clay and Justin didn't like each other at first. They went from hating each other to being brothers. And when Justin asked him if he would hold his hand, that was it. I died. I was like, oh my God. And then when, it's, him and Jessica killed me too, because she loved him. She loved him so much, and he loved her so much. And that broke my heart. And then whenever the machine finally, pretty much said that he was gone, my heart ached for Clay and them, and then the funeral, was horrible, 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 horrible. Like I said, I was crying the whole time, and it just, I understand why they did it, but then again, I hate it because that was one of my favorite characters, and he was one of the ones that had changed the most, I think, for the better. And after graduation and everything, when, Clay's sitting in his room and he's reading, that paper that, Justin had wrote, and it was talking about how, Clay was his, basically, like, Clay was his hero, his brother and all this other stuff, and Clay just kind of looks up and he was like, I miss you. And it killed me, but this is, honestly, if you've never seen this show, it's worth watching. I hate that was the last season, because of the way it ended. I really do. I hate the way it ended, but it's really good. It shows, how the people that are left behind after a suicide, people that are left behind, it shows how they, deal with stuff, and, what it does to them. So it's definitely worth checking out. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below and, tell me if you've watched this show before. What was your favorite season? Who was your favorite character? All that good stuff. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.